How's it going, everybody? Adrian Simple here from the Gaming Observer, and welcome back to your daily news update for Tuesday, September 1st. It's a brand new month, lots of news to talk about here today. Let's jump right in. Okay, so you might know that sports games that come out every single year are infamous for being repetitive in essentially all aspects of the game. As you might expect, this is due to the 1-year development cycle that really doesn't allow the creators to flesh out the game in any depth, and it often leaves them riddled with technical issues. Well, this often makes their players upset, and the most recent target for a social media uproar is Madden NFL 21. Now, apparently a number of outlets have reported that it has now received the lowest Metacritic user score of all time, with a 0.4 out of 10. And, you shouldn't use Metacritic as a good source, but it is interesting that out of all of the internet uproars in history, this is the one that got the worst of it. And, you're probably hearing this, you're thinking, hey, this is a pretty routine story. The issues that people are having with this game really aren't all that unique from other situations. But it is interesting because sometimes these issues do affect the bottom line enough that publishers do something about it. For example, WWE 2K took a break this year because of it. However, ultimately, it really is the bottom line is what it boils down to. And in the case of EA, they renewed their contract with the NFL this year until 2026, and it doesn't matter how much hashtagging happens. If the money comes in, the train won't stop rolling. Crusader Kings III is officially releasing today, and the reviews are out now. And, the game has been universally praised by critics, with almost all of them giving it a 9 out of 10 or higher, many of them a 10 out of 10. So, for those of you who are established grand strategy fans, or perhaps are players of Crusader Kings II, you're going to be happy to know that most of these reviewers are as well. They generally commended Crusader Kings III as a significant evolution of the series, and it is full of content that matches the depth of 2. One of them especially noted that they expected the game to be watered down, but it wasn't. So all of this to say, if you did love 2, then you are going to love 3, according to the critics. However, the more interesting question to me is how does the game treat new players? Because it's basically a meme at this point. A number of people have been interested in something like Crusader Kings, but they were too intimidated or confused by the hundreds of buttons to be clicked and, choices to be made. And while I wasn't able to find a critic who was actually new to the series, I am happy to report that approachability has been a major improvement for them. The UI has been more cleanly organized, and instead of needing to Google how every single thing works in the game, you can actually just hover your cursor over anything, and you'll get a pop-up with an explanation. So, if you do dislike the genre, I don't imagine this game is going to change your mind. However, if there was an interest for you there and CK2 failed you, then there's a better chance of success this time around. And the only other thing I'll say here is that Paradox games are notoriously iffy on launch, so be sure to hold off a few days before you buy it. However, it will also be available on the Xbox Game Pass PC on day 1, which is just a super pleasant surprise. And then obviously, if there are any bugs, you haven't lost any money. The PlayStation 5 is coming our way this holiday, and we may have just got some more details about how backwards compatibility is going to work. Essentially, there was an FAQ page on the Ubisoft website, which said that backwards compatibility is going to work for PlayStation 4 games, but not for PS3, PS2, or original PlayStation games. And we kind of knew that this was going to be the case. Sony has previously said that most of the PS4 games are going to be backwards compatible, but they were silent about previous generations before that. So, don't treat this as an official confirmation, but Ubisoft has clearly been given some kind of information that's worth considering if it's an important topic for you. Alright, in our final story, EA's game subscription service called EA Play, previously known as EA Access or Origin Access, is now available for all Steam users. Subscribers can pay $5 American per month or $30 a year and gain access to most of EA's back catalog directly through Steam. However, it is worth noting that there are differences between the Steam and Origin versions, including the games that are available. So if you want the complete package, then you do have to get it on Origin. And also, the Pro version of EA Play is still only available through Origin, which is $10 more. And this is the version that allows you to play their brand new games on day 1, as opposed to waiting for it to hit the standard version after an indefinite time. That being said, if you want to play games like The Sims or Battlefront, Mass Effect, Dragon Age, all the games in those series, without paying for them individually, then this is a great option for you. And you know, I think this is the first time we've seen a proper subscription service on Steam, so it'll be interesting to see how it works out. Anyway, folks, that is going to wrap us up for today. Thank you so much for being here, and I will be back with the news tomorrow, as I always am. So until next time, my friends, happy gaming, everyone. Hey, it's the TGO After-Show, welcome. So I am just extraordinarily excited for Crusader Kings III, and the fact that it's coming to the Game Pass on day one, I mean, come on. That is just incredibly generous, but I think I also understand why they did it, because the thing with Paradox is that they always play the long game. They come out with a big title, and then they support it for like 7 years. That's what they did with all of their games, basically, by releasing expansions and DLC, you know, every couple of months. Or, I don't know, twice a year? I don't know how frequent it is, but either way, I think what they're going to do here is either keep it on the Game Pass permanently and hope to get money through the DLC, or take it off of the Game Pass at some point, hope that it hooked people enough to bring them, you know, into the game in some way, and then get them to purchase the expansions. And I think that makes a lot of sense. So honestly, I'm going to be trying to play this game as soon as possible because I absolutely loved Crusader Kings II, and I only ever scratched the surface with that game. I mean, I barely ever understood what was going on, to be perfectly honest. But it was a really fun game. You got to, you know, be a king, try to expand your lands. I should say a king or a queen. And then just the interpersonal stories that happened all throughout was so fun. But definitely the thing that was stopping me from really getting the full scope of that game was the fact that I had to Google everything. And oftentimes it felt more laborious than just playing the game wrong or bad. And so I'm hoping that the approachability stuff is there to really help smooth that over. Because there's a lot of really fun storytelling that can be done in that game, and I want to see all of the options. You know, I even played Crusader Kings 2 with Shelby next to me. And normally you would think a grand strategy game, that's not the kind of thing that you would play with somebody else at the same time, unless you're doing like a multiplayer thing. But because Crusader Kings is so narrative-focused and so dramatic, I guess, it was a lot of fun for the two of us to just sit down and make decisions when it came around, and, ooh, are we gonna plot to kill somebody? Are we gonna try and replace somebody? Whatever it was. We kind of just made the decisions together. So we'll see how it plays out. I hope it's good. I really do. I think there's so much potential there. And you know, everything that the critics are saying is that it's really good. They expand on a lot of things. They make a lot more things make sense. One of my favorite things is that all of the characters have 3D models, which is just crazy. Because, you know, they have, like, literally thousands and thousands of people in these games, which are automatically generated to some degree. And before, they all had these little 2D profile, you know, portraits that were automatically generated. And now we have full 3D models, which is just crazy. And is really going to help sink in the, like, physical traits that they'll give them. Like, sometimes they'll be sickly, or they'll be, you know, maybe amputated, or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what the game had, but they did have physical traits, physical distinctions, and now that you're going to be able to actually see that fully is really cool. Anyway, folks, I've gushed enough. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you're excited for the game as well, and let me know if you're going to play it. I'd like to talk to you about it. Until next time, folks, farewell.